The WNBA just got caught red-handed in what might be the biggest officiating scandal in playoff history. What happened between the Indiana Fever and Las Vegas Aces wasn't basketball. It was highway robbery broadcast on national television, and the evidence is so damning that even the league's biggest defenders can't explain it away. Picture this, a minus 31 free throw discrepancy across multiple games. That's not a typo. 31. The Fever were attacking the rim harder than any team in the playoffs, yet somehow the Aces were living at the free throw line while Indiana players were getting body slammed with no calls. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, finally snapped and called for a league-wide investigation that has the entire basketball world talking. But here's what nobody's telling you about what really went down. Before we expose everything, hit that like button if you think the refs need to be investigated, and subscribe because we're about to reveal footage the league doesn't want you to see. The scandal started in Game 1 when Indiana shocked everyone by stealing a win in Vegas. From that moment forward, something changed. The whistle started flowing one way, and it wasn't subtle. A'ja Wilson could throw elbows like she was in a boxing match. No call. But if an Indiana player breathed too close to an Aces jersey, instant whistle. The double standard was so obvious that even casual fans were screaming at their TVs. But that wasn't the whole story. Game 2 revealed something even more sinister. The refs weren't just missing calls. They were actively refusing to review plays that could help Indiana. In one jaw-dropping moment, Aaliyah Boston got called for a phantom foul on Jackie Young. Stephanie White immediately signaled for a challenge, her hand clearly raised, the bench ready. The officials, they acted like she didn't exist. They literally turned their backs and refused to acknowledge the request. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray drilled a three-pointer that flipped the entire momentum of the game. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd went ballistic. Fans started throwing things. Security had to step in. Social media exploded with clips showing the exact moment the refs ignored White's challenge request. Within minutes, the hashtag #RefGate was trending nationwide. Former players, analysts, even celebrities were calling it out. The footage was undeniable. This wasn't incompetence. This looked orchestrated. What happened next would shock everyone. Someone leaked the officiating crew's assignment history, and guess what they found? The same referee crew had officiated 70% of Las Vegas wins that season, where the free throw discrepancy was over 15. That's not a coincidence, that's a pattern. The data showed that whenever this specific crew worked Aces games, Las Vegas averaged 28 free throws while their opponents averaged just 12. The numbers were so skewed that a statistics professor from MIT called it mathematically impossible without bias. But here's where it gets really interesting. Lexi Hull, playing through a back injury that should have sidelined her for weeks, decided she wasn't going to let crooked refs decide her team's fate. This woman could barely walk during warm-ups. The medical staff had her listed as doubtful. She was popping painkillers like candy just to stand upright, yet she dropped 16 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and hit 3 massive three-pointers that kept Indiana alive when the refs were trying to bury them. Every possession Hull played was warfare. She was getting hammered on screens that weren't being called. Players were throwing elbows at her injured back. No whistle. At one point, cameras caught her literally crying from pain during a timeout, but she refused to come out of the game. She told the trainer, and I quote, "They're not stealing this from us." That's the kind of warrior mentality that exposes how corrupt this whole situation was. The conspiracy goes deeper than just bad calls though. League sources started whispering about gambling connections. Vegas had become the betting favorite after Game 1, with massive money flowing in. We're talking millions of dollars swinging on these games. Suddenly the refs start making calls that ensure Vegas covers the spread. That's not suspicious. That's criminal. An anonymous league official leaked that there was an internal investigation already underway before White even made her public statement. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson, the supposed MVP, was getting bailed out by whistles every time she struggled. She shot 1 for 12 at one point, but somehow ended up with 14 free throw attempts. Do the math on that. She was missing everything, but the refs kept sending her to the line to pad her stats. Compare that to Indiana's entire team getting just 8 free throw attempts while attacking the rim constantly. The disparity was so obvious that even Vegas fans started feeling uncomfortable about the wins. The turning point came in Game 3's third quarter. Indiana had clawed back from a deficit and taken the lead through pure hustle. They were outplaying Vegas in every measurable way except one: free throw attempts. Then came the sequence that exposed everything. Wilson bulldozed through Boston like she was playing football. No call. 20 seconds later, Hull barely grazed an Aces player's jersey and got hit with her 4th foul. The replay showed Hull didn't even make contact. She was literally 2 inches away from the player when the whistle blew. That's when Stephanie White lost it. She stormed onto the court, got a technical foul, and used her post-game interview to essentially accuse the league of rigging games. She said, and I'm quoting directly here, "The disrespect for our team has been unbelievable. This isn't basketball anymore, it's something else entirely." She was basically daring the league to fine her because she knew the evidence was on her side. But what really sealed the deal was when video analysis experts started breaking down the footage frame by frame. They found 17 instances where Aces players committed obvious fouls that went uncalled, while Indiana got whistled for 11 phantom fouls where no contact even occurred. One analyst overlaid the contact zones and proved mathematically that the refs were calling fouls on Indiana players who were physically too far away to have made contact. It was like watching a magic show where the refs just invented fouls out of thin air. The league's response? Complete silence for 48 hours. No statement, no acknowledgement, nothing. That silence spoke volumes. They knew they had a massive problem and no way to explain it without admitting their officials had either been incompetent beyond belief or actively corrupt. Behind closed doors, emergency meetings were being held. Sources say that several team owners were threatening legal action if the officiating wasn't addressed immediately. Here's something nobody's talking about, though. This wasn't just about one series. This exposed a bigger problem that's been plaguing the WNBA for years. Small market teams like Indiana have been getting screwed by officiating when playing against the league's preferred franchises. The data shows that teams from larger markets or with bigger star power get significantly more favorable calls in crucial games. Indiana was just the first team brave enough to call it out publicly. The aftermath has been explosive. Fans started organizing protests outside the league office. Sponsors started getting nervous about being associated with what looked like a rigged product. 3 major broadcasting partners reportedly threatened to reconsider their contracts if the officiating wasn't cleaned up. The league was facing its biggest crisis since its founding, all because they got caught trying to engineer outcomes. What makes this even more outrageous is how it overshadowed incredible individual performances. Hull's heroic effort through injury should have been the story. Boston dominating the paint despite getting mugged every possession should have been celebrated. Instead, all anyone could talk about was how corrupt the officiating looked. The refs literally stole the spotlight from players who were putting their bodies on the line for their teams. The smoking gun came when someone leaked internal emails between league officials discussing playoff narratives and preferred outcomes. While the emails didn't explicitly say to rig games, they made it clear that certain matchups were better for ratings and revenue. One email specifically mentioned that a Vegas championship run would be optimal for league growth. Connect the dots on that one. Former referee Sally Anderson, who officiated for 15 years, came forward and admitted that refs face immense pressure to manage games in ways that benefit the league's interests. She said officials who don't play ball find themselves getting worse assignments or pushed out entirely. Her revelations sent shockwaves through the basketball community and validated everything Indiana fans had been saying. The question now is what happens next. The league announced they're implementing new oversight measures, including real-time review systems and accountability metrics for officials. But is it too little too late? The damage to the league's credibility might be irreversible. Fans don't trust what they're watching anymore. Every close call is now viewed through the lens of potential corruption. Indiana's players have handled this with more class than anyone could expect. Instead of making excuses, they've continued to fight through the adversity. Hull specifically said she doesn't want to be remembered as part of a team that got cheated. She wants to be remembered as part of a team that exposed the truth and forced change. That's the kind of leadership that makes champions, regardless of what any scoreboard says. The real tragedy here is what this means for the sport's growth. The WNBA was finally gaining mainstream attention and respect. Attendance was up, viewership was climbing, and young girls everywhere were getting inspired to play basketball. Then this scandal hits, and suddenly everyone's questioning if what they're watching is even real. The league shot itself in the foot, trying to manufacture drama instead of letting the incredible talent on display speak for itself. As we head into 2025, the reverberations from this scandal continue. Multiple lawsuits have been filed. Congressional representatives are calling for investigations into sports betting influences. The FBI is reportedly looking into potential criminal charges related to game manipulation. What started as a playoff series between Indiana and Vegas has turned into the biggest scandal in women's sports history. The league claims they're committed to transparency and fairness moving forward, but actions speak louder than words. Until we see real accountability, real consequences for the officials involved, and real changes to how games are officiated, fans have every right to remain skeptical. The integrity of the sport depends on it. Comment below if you think the league will actually clean this up or if this corruption runs too deep to fix. And don't forget to subscribe because we're going to keep exposing the truth about what's really happening in professional basketball. The league might not want you to know, but we're going to make sure you do.